Bonjour, mes amis. Hello to all my friends. Come on into the Fancy Nancy Book Club. I have been having so many adventures and so much fun. I hope you've been having fun too at school or wherever you are, and that you're finding time to read. Well, guess what happened? I was at the park this week, and a mother came up to me and said, "My little girl can't stop watching you. She recognizes you from TV. She heard your voice and started looking at you." Well, she was so cute, and her name is Laylee May. And I want to thank Laylee May for watching our book club, and keep on watching for a lot more fun. Let's get right into our books today, because when I went to the library this week, they had a whole section called New Books for Children. Ooh, that's where I went, and I found most of our choices in that section this week. Let me share the first one. It's called Mary McScary, and I love that title because her last name, Mary McScary, has the word scary in it. I wonder how she got that name, if she was born with it or if it's a nickname. I'm not sure, but I can tell by the cover that Mary has scary eyes in this picture. She looks like she just burst through the door, ready to scare someone. Well, let's see if she really is a scary girl. Well, the story tells us she loves to say boo and scare people, only she just doesn't say boo. She shouts it out so big. And at her meals, here she is trying to scare her family. She scares her dad at breakfast and her mom at lunch. And here she is at dinner doing something with the meatballs and the noodles that I don't think she should do. In fact, our parents would say she is behaving inappropriately, and that is a fancy word that means not according to the rules of good manners. So Mary, we know now, loves to scare people. There's one person who is never scared by Mary, and that's her cousin. She has tried jumping out and scaring him, saying boo real loud. Nothing works. So Mary is determined that today, when her cousin comes over, she's going to scare him. Here she is getting ready. She puts on a scary costume, and you know, that costume reminds me of another book that I have read about a little boy named Max and some wild monsters. Maybe I'll think of that name of that book. She goes to the door in her scariest way that she can, and her cousin just says, "Hey, how you doing?" Not scared a bit. Mary tries so many things. All day long, she tries some really incredible things that I hope you will read about when you check this book out. And I'm not going to tell you all the things she does that are so scary to me, but not to her cousin. I think the funniest page is this one, where she says, "I give up." She just quits. She just quits trying to be scary. She calls it quits because nothing she does can scare her cousin. This book is written by R.L. Stine. He writes some really scary chapter books, and it's illustrated by Mark Brown. We know Mark Brown. We've had his books on the book club before. To find out all the scary things that Mary does, check out this book. I know you'll love it. The next new book I found is called A Crow I Know by Sigal Adler. I was entranced by this book because it says a crow, but on the cover I see two crows. So maybe there will be more than one in our story. I will tell you, I can't read you the story the way it rhymes, but when you read it yourself, you will see that it is written in rhyme like a poem, and each page sounds like its own little poem. Now I want to introduce you to Rose. This is Rose, and she has a beautiful apple tree in her garden. One day she's watering some of her plants, and this crow, who has been waiting for the apples to get just right, swoops down and tries to take a bite of her apple. How rude, and how bold of that crow. He's showing bravery to come down to a human and try to take her apple. Well, Rose decides that she has to keep an eye on her apples, and one day she runs out and chases the crow away with a broom. Mary can't stay in the garden all the time with a broom because she would need to go to eat and go to sleep. Finally, a friend gives her a suggestion on how to keep the crows away from her apples, especially this one pesky crow. So Mary makes a scarecrow. And sometimes we see scarecrows in the garden. It's a figure made out of straw to look like a person in the garden, so maybe the birds will be afraid and stay away. But nowadays, when it gets to be fall, we see scarecrows all over the place. People use them for decorations when it's fall time, and they're just so pretty and cute. And then we have the ones in the garden that are really big to scare those birds. Do you think this will work for this pesky crow and his little friend right here? You have to be pretty smart to outsmart birds and bugs and creatures that want to eat your food and your vegetables in your garden. So check out this book, A Crow I Know by Sigal Adler, to see if Rose ever stops her problem of the birds and her fruit. We're going to take a little break with our friends from Tell Me a Story, and we'll be right back. Come back.